What's good, YouTube? This is the only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm back again with another deck profile. This deck profile is going to be of my Undefeated Mystic Mind Burn deck. My locals has been going back for almost 2 months now, and I've played this deck for 4 weeks, and then I've played 2 other variants of it for the other 2 weeks, Time Lords and Exodia. Those 2 variants didn't work that well at all, but this variant here, I've been able to go X1 3 times and undefeated once, and the lowest I've placed at my locals with this is 3rd place. So the deck just straight up racks me wins, which is crazy because in a format with a bunch of combo stuff like Dragon Link, it's tough to play decks like these because they just put a bunch of negates on the board and they can just negate your one of mine, and it's basically a scoop at that point. But other than Dragon Link, the deck basically just has a good matchup up against everything, at least for me it does. Starting off onto the deck profile though, the triple planet Pathfinder just lets you add to hand the Mystic Mine, and sometimes if you have Mystic Mine, you can, and you don't have the Field Bearer, I like to set it in defense and then play the mine, so that way going into my opponent's turn, it basically forces them to have to kind of play around the mine, and what they don't realize is if they just summon a monster and pass turn, I can go into my turn, flip this up, and then sack it with its effect, add to hand the mine, and just play the mine. So you can also play it like defensively like that. Onto the spells, of course, the triple Mystic Mine itself. It's basically just a skill drain and a threatening roar all on one card. Your opponent can't activate monster effects. Your opponent can't declare attacks. And of course, if you control the same amount of monsters as your opponent, then it destroys itself in the end phase. But you know, you're not going to allow that to happen. And if the one occasion where I say you do allow that to happen, you're just going to get it out again. The one of Terraforming. Of course, we would be playing more of this if it wasn't at 1, but sadly, it's at 1. And, you know, it's the spell form of Planet Pathfinder, so of course you're going to play the spell form if you play through the monster. The triple Demise of the Land. Whenever your opponent would special summon a monster, you can just activate Mystic Mine from your deck. The triple Field Barrier, it makes it to where no other field spells can be played, and then it protects all field spells from destruction pretty much. So it's really good when you open up Mystic Mine and Field Barrier, because you just play Mystic Mine, Field Barrier, and you can just pass your turn on that. And unless if the opponent has like a Cosmic Cyclone, it's basically just going to be a game for them. It's a wrap up, scoop up. There's really no chance of dragging it out and stuff like that. This also is really, really good in the mirror match, because I beat the mirror match with this card. You just straight up play Field Barrier and summon your Planet Pathfinder. And that's, again, a GG, because they have no way of stopping your Planet Pathfinder from getting in on attacks or anything like that. Onto the draw cards or consistency cards of the deck. Oops. The triple Extrav. Extrav, just banish anywhere from 3 to 6 cards at random from your extra deck, and then you just draw 1 or 2 cards depending on how many you banished. Of course, you're going to always banish the 6, so you can draw 2 cards. This card, I was playing Pot of Desires over it, and I'm so happy that I picked up these to play over the Desires. The Desires it's a headache having to look through saying, please don't let me banish this or that. Please don't let this banish this or that. And I've also won a game due to deck out with playing this, where if I would have had Desires in that game there, I would have lost that game because I would have been the one decking out. The triple Pot of Duality. Duality is just another consistency card where you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then add anything to hand. Normally, I try to get my Field Barrier. If I don't have my Field Barrier, I try to get a Disruption card like Judgment or Dark Bribe. And if I already have one of those, of course, you'll grab one of your win cons like your Wave Motion or your Cauldron or your Countdown. The one of One Day of Peace, it's the last draw card / consistency card in the deck, or of the spell, should I say. You get to just draw a card, and your opponent draws a card, and then neither player can basically inflict damage until the end of your opponent's next turn. There has been one occasion where I didn't open up Mystic Mine. I played this card, and I drew into a Planet Pathfinder. Played Planet Pathfinder, sacked it with its effect, and add to hand the mine. So it has come up to where this basically served as a Mystic Mine for 1 turn, and I did win that game. So it was an MVP for that game. The triple Prohibition. I normally just call Cosmic Cyclone with this thing since Field Barrier stops Twin Twisters. But yeah, I normally just say Cosmic Cyclone, or I say something like Harpy's Feather Duster. And yeah, in the mirror match, I normally call my opponents, Mystic Mine in the mirror match, ironically. Or I'll call Solemn Judgment if I'm playing the mirror. Oh yeah, another thing, if you're playing Dinos, Lost World, and if you get a second Prohib, Soul Raptor. That I definitely have to point that in there. One of my losses was a Dino player because they got up Lost World, and every game they didn't get up Lost World, I won. So yeah, I have lost to Dinos, and I've also beat Dinos from that. So definitely call Lost World on Dinos. The God of Skulls Oracle. One of my other friends that I have that plays this deck as well. We have discussed, if they hit Mystic Mine to 1, it's not going to do jack nothing to this deck. This is the card that if they hit, it's going to absolutely destroy this deck. Just looking at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and rearranging those Cosmic Cyclones, the Ash Blossoms, and things like that to the bottom of that stack, it's just too strong. And I feel like if they hit Mystic Mine to 1, as long as it's not banned, if they hit it to 1 and limit it, as long as this card is still at 3, I'm still going to play this deck. If Konami hits this, I feel like it'll hurt the deck more if they leave Mystic Mine at 3 and hit this thing to 1. I feel like that'll hurt way more. So hopefully this card stays at 3 and Konami doesn't figure out that this is going to be the problem with this deck and not the mine itself. The 1-up Final Countdown, I've only won 1 game off of it, and the rest of the games my opponents have just scooped up. So I normally side this thing just going 2nd and 3rd. Or going into games 2 and 3, should I say. Of course, your burn cards, the 1 Cauldron of the Old Man, the 3 Wave Motion. I want to play a 2nd Cauldron, but I don't have it. But once I get that 2nd Cauldron, it's going to be 2 Cauldron, 2 Wave. The reason why I'm going to be playing only 2 Cauldron is because Wave Motion, you can of course send it to the graveyard to clear up space in the back row. For Cauldron, you're just stuck with it back there. So that is the only reason why I do play the more Wave Motion than the Cauldron. The 1-of meta just adds to hand your Mystic Mine or activates it from your deck. Another good play with this, if you already have Mystic Mine on the field and you have this card in your hand, I would recommend setting this thing and just activating it anyways to add it to hand so you can deck thin for stuff, especially if you have a Demise. So I would deck thin with this card if you already have Mystic Mine out. The 2 Trio, this card is literally here because I do not have Silent Wobbies. I ordered them off of TCG Player. Basically, when I found out that my locals was starting back up, they haven't came in the mail yet, so I'm just going to assume I'm never going to get the Silent Wobbies. But if you have Silent Wobbies and your Silent Wobbies come in the mail, play Silent Wobbies over this, and I'll probably take out Countdown for the 3rd Silent Wobby. So yeah, definitely play Silent Wobbies over these. The Dark Bribe just as that interruption piece whenever they think they've got you and they play that Cosmic Cyclone, the Twin Twisters, or the Harpy Feather Dust. You can be like, nope, you can draw 1 card and I'll keep my stuff. And then, again, the Solemn Judgment, just for when they think they've got you. Nope, I'll lose half my life just so you can continue to struggle up against what I'm playing. Next up is the extra deck, which doesn't really matter that much. All I would play is just a bunch of links, like generic link stuff. And of course you got to play Totally Awesome because it's awesome. But I would recommend just playing a bunch of random link stuff just for when they give you tokens or give you monsters, which hasn't came up yet. But if they do that, you can just link away, get down to 1 monster, and then go into battle phase and kill it. So that way mine stays up. Your extra deck, of course, you play the triple D shifter. Just how I was mentioning earlier, those combo decks are absolutely kill. I haven't beaten a single Dragon Link deck yet. How I've said that I've only lost 3 times. 2 of them were to Dragon Link. So that deck is annoying for me. The double Lava Golem, that's just there to stop the negates that they put up and try and clear the board. Stuff like that. And then the Dark Ruler No More, of course, for up against those combo decks trying to beat it. The triple Twin Twister. This is here just for the mirror match or just for the random floodgates that'll come up. I actually had somebody play deck lockdown on me, which I think was one of the most 1000 IQ plays I think I've ever seen. But yeah, if I'd have had Twin Twister or drew into it then, it would have been amazing. I still ended up winning the game. It just took way much longer than what I wanted it to take because I opened up my Extrav and my Duality that game too. The triple Curse Sealed of the Forbidden Spell. This is here again for Twin Twisters and Cosmic Cyclone, anything to stop those. And the mirror match is crazy when you hit a Mystic Mine or when you hit their Wave Motion or Cauldron. It's basically a GG if you hit one of those with it. But yeah, this is my Mystic Mine deck. If I have to say anything, your struggles for playing this deck is going to be Dragon Link, Dinos, and Infernoble Knights. Of my 3 losses in 4 weeks, again, 2 of them have came to Dragon Link, 1 of them has came to Dinos. If I would have run into an Infernoble Knights, that probably would have been a loss as well, just because those combo decks that can do those crazy stuff, it's just hard for you to come back from that stuff, especially when they win the die roll and get to go first in game 1. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. This has been the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm signing out.